Hey guys, Captain here, bringing you another update video for my Lego Windfall Island. So as you can see, I've created a lot of terrain here. Pretty much all the terrain I'm going to need to create. I need to create some grass up here and there's a small amount of grassy areas around town, but for the most part it's just going to be dirt path and buildings there. And I've also created the dock, which I'll get to how I made that in a bit. As I was making this area, I realized maybe this should be just a stud wider, but it still looks fine, and I'm still pretty happy with it. I don't know, if it ever gets to a point where it really bothers me, I might redo it slightly. You can see this should be a little more pronounced, I suppose. I don't know, so if it ever becomes not unreasonable for me to move this all over, I might do that. For the most part, it's probably going to be unreasonable, and it does, quite frankly, look fine for now. It'll also depend how this looks with the bomb shop up here, because if it looks fine with the bomb shop, then I think I'm just going to keep it as is. I've added a rock here, and a grassy platform here, all of which are present in the game, although this one is not visible in my reference picture. I made them pretty simple. This is just two 1x2 brown plates followed by a 1x2 lime plate, and then these are diagonally turned on a 1x1 clear plate. And as for the terrain, I've been layering it a lot. I've got the beach, I've got grass, I've got more rock here and whatnot. I've been using the actual game as a reference a lot. My GameCube's been running and probably overheating, but even here, I got the little platform where you have to sidle across. I've been trying to keep it as accurate as possible. The path is not brilliant, and again, this is what made me realize that maybe I should be a stud wider here. But I expected the path to be a little bit challenging no matter what. The other thing about the path is that there is a small wall next to it for part of it. Except the wall is so thin, it just looks ugly no matter how I try to create it. So I think I'm going to go without it, just simply not use a wall there, which I think it'll be fine. I did put in some of the sizable rocks in the grassy area. There's actually a third rock here, but it's small, and again, I don't think I'd have room even if I were a stud wider, because then it would be too close to the edge of the grass. As for the crevice here, this is where Link wakes up in the King of Red Lions, and I finished up this area. I need to tile it in green, but I'm running low on some green plates. I have a lot of 2x2s left, but very few 1x2s, so I'm probably gonna have to pick up some more soon. But nonetheless, I filled out that area with water and some sand, and I think I made it work fairly well. And the final thing I'd like to highlight that's really new to this video is the dock, which I put together using a bit of fancy math, if you consider the Pythagorean theorem fancy. But anyway, I figured out how many studs I would have to space these apart so that I could get a good even connection. And so the dock is actually held in by only a few spots. As for the walkway, it's just held together by 3 double studs, and then beneath with this piece, and then following the same angle, the actual dock, and I think these pieces are easy to peel off, yeah, is held together also in, I think, 3 spots, 3 or 4. Yeah, so I had the water tile in a little farther, so that it looks like the water is completely surrounding it, and this is all double height, so this looks like it's exactly just above the water. When you place it here, it looks very nice. And then I use smooth plates here because I didn't want to screw around with some kind of isometric grass or whatever. And so I just kind of layer over part of the dock, which doesn't look brilliant, but it still looks pretty good. And if in the actual game, there's some parts where the dock kind of just melts into the grass. Again, if I could get it a smooth diagonal, that would be great. But that would be extremely difficult to do if I want solid connections. Now, one of the things I am making a big point of is having solid connections for all the stuff I use here. Now, I know some people, the way they design water is, rather than this kind of technique, pretty much if people don't use this technique, the technique that's like next most used, maybe even more often used than this, is just loose studs. And I just don't really like that, because what happens if it tips over somehow, or you spill it, or you have to move it somewhere, it becomes a hassle. So I like to have everything very solidly connected, and I think that's also a little bit more in the spirit of Lego. So, I've managed to take quite a bit of time talking about just a few small features that I've added around here. But, I've been spending a lot of time on it to try and make this as accurate as possible. Probably since the last video there have been about 4 hours of work put in, maybe. It's hard to say, but I think the dock maybe was like an hour, and then this amount of terrain was probably about 3 hours, even though it doesn't look like it would be very much. A lot of the time is just spent checking with my references to make sure it's accurate, and then trying to tile it up well. If I were crafting this from my imagination, well, first off, I wouldn't be using quite as drastically steep terrain in such a small island, because it's actually a substantial hill in the game. But if I were crafting hills and terrain like this on my own, I probably would be doing it at least twice as fast, just because I could be making it up as I go along. That said, I'm happy with how this is turning out so far. In the next video, I'm hoping to have at least a basis for town. I'm starting to run out of some brown bricks to place around here. One thing I've been using is I've been trying to use less of 1x2 bricks and more of these, I don't even know how to call it, I guess the log type brown bricks, because those kind of create rocky textures more so. I could toy around with a lot of brown cheese slopes, because I think I have a bunch lying around, and with more of these to try and really create some rocky sides, which in some spots is going to be appropriate. But for the most part, a lot around here and around here, it's just been easier just to use some of the log type bricks. Well, I've managed to take up quite a bit of time talking about just this small few features, but if you did like this video, then please rate, comment, subscribe, send this to your friends, check out my other videos, and I will see you guys next time.